So this is the first in a series of presentations for games level 3. What we're going to do is kind of use these if, say, you miss a lecture or you start the course a bit later, you're able to come back and have a look at a slightly shorter version of the lessons I'll be giving at DV8. This one, we're beginning the whole course with pitching your game ideas. Now, I hate the sound of my own voice, so maybe I'll be
pitching it up a little bit like this, and it'll sound a bit like extra credits.
Or maybe I'll pitch it
down a little bit, which gets deeper and is quite depressing.
Maybe I'll shout. Maybe just to get your attention. Maybe I'll use some sound effects like so.
Hey!
No. Either way, let's get on with the presentation.
Okay, so definition of a game's pitch. The pitch is the description and demonstration of your game idea and feasibility for investment to begin production on the project. Okay, so I have no idea why they call it a pitch. It's not a football pitch, it's not a baseball pitch, it's a sales pitch. So you can have a very long sales pitch, and we will be going into those in the future, constructing a game design document and so on. Or you can have a very short pitch. This is known as an elevator pitch. Elevator pitch is a short description of an idea, product or company that explains the concept in a way such that any listener can understand it in a short period of time. So imagine yourself, you get into the lift on the bottom floor, you're in the lift with the CEO or the CTO of the company, and you want to get an idea across to them very quickly. So generally the time it takes for the lift to reach its floors, 30 seconds or so. So elevator pitch, very short sentence. Longer pitch, 4 or 5 pages of text. Enthusiasm and passion. So very important. You've all seen Dragon's Den. People who are pitching without enthusiasm and passion don't get very far. If you're not excited about your game idea, how can you expect anyone else to be enthused about it? Who will you most commonly be pitching to? All right, so when we talk about pitching, it either is Dragon's Den style to a bunch of people who are external to your company and have a bunch of money that you want to get, or sometimes it's internally. So if you're working for a games company and you've got an innovative idea for a new piece of gameplay for an existing game, you'd also have to pitch that to the heads of departments, CEOs, CTOs, studio heads, you might also want to get funding from the Arts Council, in which case this is mostly a written pitch, but sometimes you'll have to present them. So, external versus internal pitching. How would your pitch change if you were delivering to people you know, people you've worked with for years, versus somebody you've never met before, an external funding body? Would the style change? Would you be more stressed out trying to give it to people you've never met before? How much detail would you go into with colleagues as opposed to someone who has no idea about your project whatsoever? Crowdfunding campaigns. All right. Give an example of a crowd-funded game or project that caught your eye. These come up quite a lot with indie studios. They have a great idea. There's a very small team of people working on it, and if they just had an extra 50 grand or so, they could push it to the next level. So, they offer rewards, and people pledge either small amounts for a pre-order of a game, or they go up to sort of large pledges of thousands or so. Okay, so activity 1. Listen to these 3 pitches and decide who are being pitched to. Who are the target audience? Is it internal, external, investors or colleagues? Who is it? All right, pitch 1. This is a match 3 gem collecting game for casual gamers on mobile, endorsed by Kim Kardashian. It's going to be free to play, use in-app purchases and Unity ads to produce revenue streams. It needs about £50,000 budget, 3 months of development, and it's going to be on iOS and Android. So pause the video now, have a little think about whether that is going internally, externally, is it funders, is it investors? So I would have hazarded a guess that this would be something that you would be taking to investors, as in there is a high chance of the game making a lot of money, essentially. And so if somebody was to invest £50,000 I mean, obviously the hard part here would be getting Kim Kardashian to endorse it, but we will save that conversation for another time. Pitch 2, you work for Rockstar Games. You've got an idea that you might want to port Grand Theft Auto to VR. It's probably going to take about a year to do so, and it's going to be released on Oculus Quest and PlayStation VR. So who were we pitching this game idea to? I'll give you a second. So this would be an internal pitch, which is going to, I guess, the head of the studio, the head of department. You're asking for time under the company's money in order to develop the VR version of an already existing game. So you're not asking them for money, you're asking them for time, and it's up to the management to feel like this is a good use of you and whoever it is that they put on the team to be able to bring VR Grand Theft Auto to life. Pitch 3. Okay, my friends and I have made an indie game for VR called Drunk Cricket. We're asking for £50,000 to complete the game. We have merchandise and pre-orders of the game to offer to investors, going up to having a likeness of yourself in the actual game. So, who's this being pitched to? This is a classic crowdfunding pitch, isn't it? Because it's a very indie development, small team, just need some money in order to complete the game. So this would go up on Indiegogo or Kickstarter, and they would try and raise the £50,000 they want by giving away pledges. All right, so larger, more complex pitches. There's 5 big questions: the why, the what, the who, the how, the when. So let's have a look at those. Why? Okay, so why are you asking for money? Is there a gap in the market? Why is this going to be beneficial to a potential investor? You know, are they going to get a return on investment, or is this just a pet project from you that you want to make? Who is it you're selling your concept to? Who's going to be your target player? Have you done your market research? Market research is something that comes up a lot, and we will be going into that in a few sessions' time in order to cover how you actually do market research. So yeah, what are the characteristics of your demographic? Is it casual players? Is it hardcore gamers? These are all the things that you need to answer in the why section. What? Describe the story of your game that you are selling. Yeah, why is it compelling? What is the hook to the game? You know, is it something that's gone before? Is it a football game which has got aliens instead of football players? Is it a shoot 'em up where you shoot hearts at people and they fall in love? What is the hook that's going to make it separate from your Grand Theft Autos or your, any regular kind of game? What's the story arc of the game? What rewards are the players going to be able to collect? How are they going to spend the currency inside the game? What will the player actually do in the game? Who? Okay, who's involved? This relates to the team who's responsible for the execution of the why and the what. This for students is going to be a pretty straightforward answer in that you are an indie team, fresh from college, and this is the first game that you want to embark on. Whereas if you've been in the industry a few years and decided that you want to go freelance, you would take a few of your employees with you from your games companies you'd work for. And so when there is experienced people on the team, you want to show what kind of things have they done before, what games have they worked on, what experience have they got in the industry, have you got 3D modelers, have you got concept artists? So that's the who. The how. Okay, this is in regards to your execution plan. Yeah? How are you going to actually do it? Have you got a realistic budget for buying software licenses or hardware or office space? Are you factoring the cost of artwork and animation costs? These things can take a lot of time and eat money. What is your predicted marketing spend for the game to get it out there in the public sphere? This is something that some, indies overlook a lot, whereas the AAA studios will double the budget to kind of deal with the marketing side of it. Is it going to be multiplayer, and how is the back end of that going to work? This would be something that you might want to cover in your prototype that you go and show investors. When? Okay, so this is your production schedule. What's the timescale? Is it going to take months? Is it going to take years? What are your key milestones? You know, will you have full-on concept art completed first 3 months? Will you have an idea about possible gameplay mechanics? Have you got demos and prototypes of that? Did you grey box things that you can show to investors as a first playable? And will you have a soft launch where you put it out to the public and they find bugs and feedback to the company? All of those go into the when. All right, so with that said, here is an exercise for you to do in class, and essentially you're going to pitch your favourite game to the rest of the class. So think about the kind of games that you enjoy. You know, how would they have dealt with those big five questions when they were developing Borderlands or Fallout or Super Mario? So yeah, that pretty much covers the end, and I'll put a link in the description for your homework, which is to watch this guy rip people apart about the 30 things he hates about their pitches. He's full of, well, you'll see anyway. He's an interesting character. All right, so that wraps it up for now. Thanks a lot. See you later.